Welcome to Pause Button with Storytime Gamer and Bob,
a weekly podcast covering gaming news, reviews, and all things geek.
I'm your host, Storytime Gamer, also known as Eric, and I stream a variety of games on my YouTube channel, Storytime Gamer, with a focus on story-driven games, role-playing, and horror. I also love anything 80s and 90s pop culture.
And I'm Bob, bringing you games you can chill to. Survival crafting, factory management, and open-world RPGs. Anything you can play while listening to a podcast, an audiobook, or watching Netflix.
If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast so you can always have the latest episode for when you need to step back from life and press the pause button.
All right, let's get to the show. Eric, what have you been up to?
Oh, goodness gracious. It's 4th of July weekend, so I have the kids. I had to work from home the other day, and we're just trying to, survive the long weekend from our normal routines during summer. You know how that is.
Oh, yeah. Did a cookout yesterday for a bunch of teenage boys. They consumed way more hamburgers than I planned for.
Oh, no. How many cows?
Oh, at least an entire cow. It, like that scene from Jurassic Park where you lower the cow into the paddock, Yeah. It's kind of like that. Out comes just the rigging. But yeah, enjoying the weather. Honestly, it's weird because it's nice. I like being outside, but this game, Captain of Industry, I've put over 70 hours into this game. In fact, I've got it running on my PC right now while we're recording.
What?
And I'll check in on it when we get done. Yeah, it's just completely... I got up yesterday, listen to this, at 3:30 in the morning to play this game. It's just on my mind.
I've had games like that, so I understand. But is that one of those AFK games you could actually just walk away and be okay with that?
Well, that's the trick, is you get your factory all set up, right? But if something's wrong and you don't notice it, you come back and like all your colonists are dead or all your trucks are broken down. So if you can get all the little pieces flowing just right, then your factory will just run. And then you can go AFK. When you come back, all your stockpiles are built up. That's the whole kind of loop for me. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, okay. That opens up a question of what equals you did it, you beat it, or is there no actual end to that loop? The gameplay loop.
Yeah, I mean, for that one, you climb the tech tree all the way to the top, and it's huge. There's hundreds of things you research, and you go from really basic kind of construction all the way up to like rocket ships and nuclear fuel, and have this battleship you can sail around. When you get to the very end, you can sit there and just keep playing, but there's no point at that point. So yeah, remember last time I said my whole thing with gaming is the climb to OP?
Yeah.
You get to OP. Sometimes I don't even finish games once I get OP.
No, I get that. I understand.
It's the climb that...
Yeah, just like, say, Skyrim, you get like all the cool dragon powers, you do all the side quests. You're like, I don't care about killing Alduin and saving the world. Screw that.
Yeah, that's just me. Well, let's get into the news. I want to start with this metaverse story I've been hearing a lot about. I'll just kind of give you the lead in. Meta, that's Facebook, Microsoft, and other tech giants racing to build the emerging metaverse concept have formed a group to foster development of industry standards that would make the company's nascent digital worlds compatible with each other. So they're getting together to figure out, all right, when we start building this metaverse, whatever that is, how do we do it in such a way that our worlds are compatible, and I guess people can move back and forth between them. Notably, Apple and Roblox were not part of this group, which is very interesting. Apple's got that typical walled garden kind of mentality, so maybe that's what that's about. I'm interested in your thoughts on this because, nobody really knows what the metaverse is, but my thought was, would it be interesting to be able to move between, multiple MMOs? You've got an identity in Destiny and you've got an identity in something else. I don't know. I don't know if I like that or not. What do you think?
Well, it'd be kind of Ready Player One in that essence, where the whole world, everything is a game. There's something to do. You have product placement that goes between each thing, which, I mean, that's kind of a dream. That's meta in its essence. I can see Apple definitely being the greedy bastards they are. I have my Apple products. I love them, but they are greedy. As we saw with what happened with Epic Game Stores and Fortnite with just selling of V-Bucks. They got all uppity about that.
Yeah.
So they're not wanting to talk about that. It's because that reason, or they have their own thing working and they'd rather keep it independent. And Roblox is around the same thing because they're they generate a lot of content from users, and then it gets like sold within itself. If that makes sense.
It's so funny that you see Apple as the greedy party there. I always saw Epic as the greedy party. I'm such an Apple fanboy, they can do no wrong for me, but it's funny how people see those differently. Everybody compares the metaverse to Ready Player One.
Yeah.
But you don't have to have compatibility between multiple like worlds and stuff to have Ready Player One. That, in fact, I believe in Ready Player One, that was all provided by one company.
Yeah, and that would be the idea. It's going to be one company, one source that's going to beat them all out. Fortnite already has the biggest leg up on that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But also, everyone forgets to talk about them. I don't even know if you know, but there was this thing, and it still exists to my understanding, called Second Life. And that's technically the first metaverse, because that's where people would go, make their avatar, create digital goods, digital architecture, digital things, and sell it for the currency in that quote unquote game, that Second Life. That's what we all want, but it's up to the corporations to figure out how to implement that into something that all works.
Yeah, see right there does the virtual reality side of it make it the metaverse, or does interoperability and compatibility with other systems make it metaverse? I mean, I heard on a podcast this week that the Unreal Engine 5 community is sort of a metaverse because people are contributing digital assets to this world and everyone's making their games out of it. I don't know. I think it's still very hazy what the metaverse really is.
I think it's going to be it's a word everyone can latch onto, because for instance, HD, you say HD, that means high definition. But when you just start throwing that onto things like HD radio, UHD, when it's really 4K, it's a whole different realm than high definition, or HD, this, that, and the other. There's so many things that just take that. It's going to be a coined term that's really going to, it's just going to help explain things. And what's going to happen is it'll be more of you buy something from, say, Coca-Cola that can transfer through different facets of your consuming life in a digital realm, and that's what it's going to be. So your pick that is on, say, if TikTok, if it's still illegal in the United States, you have something there that gets transferred between you, say, your Facebook and your Twitter, your bank account. There's something that connects all those things in a safe way, and it provides to your identity. I imagine
it could be very exciting.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I think we've just cracked open not only a big can of something that is definitely need to be discussed, but definitely something we should talk in a future episode. Just focus on metaverse.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do some digging. Let's talk about this next one because I'm really excited about it. I have not read the article yet, but tell me about God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, God of War! I'm so excited. I was excited to hear this because anyone who knows games being delayed, it is the worst information you can get, especially since you were told a certain date, a certain time, and you've been so excited for it. Well, God of War Ragnarok is still being ping-ponged around to still come out this year, 2022. And at the time of this recording, even when this article was published, it was given that God of War Ragnarok had a release month leaked, along with some news about the special editions and things like that. November is the month, which is funny. And there's even speculation November 11th, which is even more funny because Starfield was supposed to come out that day. And get this. So here's the tinfoil hat about it all. Say Sony had like their flag planted on that date for a while, and then somehow Microsoft heard about it. Would you want to release Starfield on the same day that God of War Ragnarok comes out?
Right.
So it's probably, and that gives Starfield people more time to develop and create and take out all the bugs, because we know how bug-ridden Bethesda games come out to be. So it gives them more time. So I'm excited to hear, hopefully soon, pre-order information, because what I'm excited about is the pre-order Uber Special Edition, which I hope to try to get. You get like a I guess a statue or something of Thor's Mjolnir from this God of War Ragnarok, which would be really cool to have, in my opinion.
We all know Starfield, especially after that last trailer, they need all the time that they can take. There's an interesting sentence in here. It says the game itself remains undelayed, which that's a new word, undelayed.
Yes.
I think being delayed is kind of the default now. So now we're going to say, hey, is that game undelayed? Yes, it remains undelayed. Yeah, it's shrouded in mystery, no word. It's kind of like, it's so quiet. You're like, is it still coming? Is they going to push it back? Because that's what happens. It gets so quiet. You're like, oh, okay, it'll be fine. And then, oh no, 6 more months, 2 more months. It keeps getting kicked down the field. So I'm excited to, between that and the just everyone involved with it is it's hovering around November, supposedly. So fingers are crossed. Yeah, if I could just gush about God of War for just a little bit. I was watching your stream on Storytime Gamer the other day, the one you did with your dad.
Yeah.
Watching this game, and it has that opening scene where he fights, is it Loki? What's that character that he fights? I forget his name.
Baldur,
yeah. Oh my gosh, that game. To make a game that has no cuts like that. I mean, that's had just begun to be a trend in movies, but to make a game like that, it's breathtaking. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, that's a game that's got story, it's got gameplay. Wow, just such a powerful game. I can't wait.
I consider it one of the perfect games. It is a perfect game. You can't argue that it's bad. I mean, you might not like it, but it's a perfect game.
I wonder if it will run on the Steam Deck.
Well, as things are going with Sony, it probably could.
Yeah, it's crazy what they're able to do with that. I mean, Cyberpunk runs on it, and that was one of my stories. This is a pretty short one. Crysis, for me, if it's not 60 FPS, I don't want it. I'm a 60 FPS purist. So, and God of War is such a cinematic game. I'm going to play it on my big TV with my surround sound and enjoy it in its true form.
Yep, but when you're on the go.
I don't want to play it on the go.
I know,
I'll
but
play something else on the go.
Yeah, so you'll have your Steam Deck, though, on the go.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll have it before the summer is over. We got news this week that Valve is doubling the number of Steam Decks it ships to customers. I've got a Q3 reservation that I'm really hoping gets moved up into earlier in the year. What do you think about the Steam Deck? Are you going to get one?
Yeah, I put my $5 down, and I have to double check to see where I am in the line, but I'm excited. I don't actually have a proper PC to play a majority of Steam games. Yet I am on Steam and I get to play them on my Mac computer, the ones I get to play. So this looked like a good alternative for, okay, I want to play some Steam games, but I don't want to spend $1,200 on a PC. But this is cool. I get to take it with me. I could take it to work on my lunch break if I want, instead of just my Switch, things like that.
Yeah, I wasn't excited about the Steam Deck at first because I have a Switch and I was like, I can already game on the go. But as I've listened to people review it, I've listened to podcasters that play it, they just rave about the hardware, and those are the games I want to play. There's just not enough games on Switch that really interest me. So I'm excited about it. So tell me what got your attention about this Simpsons hit and run story.
Yeah, so there's a fan that's remaking the classic Simpsons hit and run as an open world, which I'm actually surprised it's still going on, since it's a Fox property, which is owned by, Disney, and they haven't been shut down. But that's one of those games that you would imagine would have a remaster or up-res of all the textures and all of its content to play now. It was so popular in the day. I missed out on playing it. And so it's one of those things that I just kind of watch, playthroughs and hear more about, like, oh, this was such a great game, and it was Grand Theft Auto Simpsons, and it did really well. Because at the time, I kind of brushed it off as, oh, it's just Grand Theft Auto. I already got Grand Theft Auto. I don't need the Simpsons. But apparently, it was actually really well done. So there's a fan who's remaking it, and then they really, really want it to happen officially without, hindrance or anything like that. Not necessarily that the person who's making it wants to be the person developing it, but it should happen, and honestly, it should.
It's interesting. I'm an old gamer, so you'd think I'd know this. I didn't know the game was that popular. But apparently it's got a huge fan following. This guy's not going to release his game for download, obviously, because that would be copyright infringement. But if enough people you take interest in it, maybe they will do a remaster of it.
Yeah, which is funny, and it relates to another article. I don't have it up in front of me, but there was a Fallout mod for Fallout London that's gotten so popular that Bethesda has hired that developer, those people, which is smart in my opinion.
It's crazy what they're able to do, extending video games these days.
All right, so John Cena and Metroid. What? Did
you see this story where apparently he's a huge Metroid fan, and repeatedly the story says brought up the fact that he wants to see another Metroid game, and finally they made one and sent him a copy.
Now, is it Metroid Dread? Or...
Yeah, well, Metroid. This was before Metroid Dread was released, and he wanted a new Metroid. Now I don't know how old he is. I'm sure he grew up playing the original Metroid like I did, and that game was just magical. I remember going to a friend's house, and of course there was only one Nintendo, and we all sat around and watched him play Metroid, and it was just the most amazing thing we'd ever seen.
Oh yeah, and then you find out that the main character is a girl, and you're like, what?
Yeah, she takes her helmet off at the end. Of course, we're all, no video games were girls back then, so everyone was like, oh my God, did you know Samus was a girl?
Yeah, to get the special ending, and then if you did something special, I forget exactly what, you get her in her, just, her like bikini, as it were.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, even back then, you can get her down to just like her underwear.
That's a very 80s video game thing to do.
You can't really do that nowadays as much. Speaking of Bethesda, Xbox head defends Bethesda's in the wake of crunch allegations. Now, if you're not familiar with that term, I'm sure most of you who are listening are, but crunch is a bad thing when it comes to game development. It's become more lights have been shined on it over the years, and apparently Xbox is saying everything's fine, we're all okay here. But, there's going to be crunch, especially with, they just said publicly without anything else, and they've dug themselves into the ground saying that Starfield comes out within the year. So there's going to be crunch. There's going to be crunch.
This is a big discussion in the industry, is does there need to be crunch? And I think a decade ago, when game companies released late, there was no sympathy for them. I mean, the negative press on a game releasing late was pretty intense. It hurt the image of a game. It hurt the company financially, and I think that's what led to the crunch. That's what led them to pursue that policy of compulsory overtime. And then what's happened is, as more developers have gotten their voices out there, and then the pandemic hit, that made it even more pronounced. Everyone's began to sympathize with those poor developers, and now when you hear about a game being released, you don't hear that negative press anymore. You hear, I hope they take their time. I hope they get the game right, especially after Cyberpunk happened. So I think it's moving in the right direction. I think it's a good trend. We don't need an industry where the only way to develop something is to work people to death. It's not good. And it's funny, maybe they need to bring in the scope of some of these games. We were talking last week about how in Horizon Forbidden West, we didn't even play the board game that comes with the game. No. I mean, maybe 5% of people are going to play that game. Like, take it out. Take that out of the game, y'all. Let's keep the scope nice and confined, so you're not having to work people so hard.
Right. Well, and that brings up, there's like two things to address that. One, people with the pandemic, people have been able to, or companies have been able to figure out how to work remotely. So then it becomes, you're at home, you can work and you can figure it out, which sometimes that's a healthier environment instead of you being at like an office and having to work long hours, but it's still not healthy in the same sense of working long hours at home. But crunch, they have a deadline, but see, here's the thing. Even with crunch now, people are getting crunched after release because you have a game come out.
Oh yeah.
Like Cyberpunk. Right. and they needed more time, and then they had a crunch to get it all fixed.
Yeah.
Even I bought the special edition Horizon Forbidden West, which comes with like the big terror tusk. Isn't that what it's called? Whatever, the woolly mammoth thing.
Tremor tusk.
And I got it because like, oh, I'll get a physical copy of the game with the collectible game case, which is cool. I always thought that was cool. That's been a staple in collector's editions forever. But you know what happened when I opened up that steel case? What happened? No, there was a piece of paper with a download code.
Oh.
So I have a steel case for a game disc that does not exist, which tells you that this was put in production before they had a final copy to put to gold of their build, and they still had patches to do afterwards. Call of Duty is the worst because they'll go ahead and print off the disc, but you have to download the whole game anyway because of all the patches and everything else when it's time to come out, which I think is so utterly stupid. I remember when games came finished and there was no downloading needed or patches because you'd have a cartridge. That was it. Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PlayStation 2, you could not download a patch. It was broken.
They had the test.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had to test those things really, really well because once you press them into that physical media, there's no going back. And so, yeah, maybe game companies have gotten sloppy. They've tried to pack more into their game, figuring they'll patch it later. I just think, I mean, in the technology field, it's not uncommon to have to work after hours, but hey, save that capacity, y'all. Gonna work, get the game out working, a good solid 40 hours a week, and then after the game releases, that may be the time when you need to put in some extra time. But save that so you're not burning people out. Yeah,
no kidding. Yeah. Anyway, so there's that.
I see more Dune news on the horizon here. What's going on?
Well, it's Kyle MacLachlan is being grabbed. If you never saw the original Dune, directed by David Lynch, or watched the beautiful Twin Peaks show, the original, not the one that was released by Showtime, because that was just weird and long and hard to watch. He's being tapped. The actor Kyle MacLachlan is being tapped to be in the Fallout show. Don't know who, do not know why, do not know when, but he's going to be in it. So I think that's going to be interesting. He might be an interesting character in it. Who knows? He might be the bad guy.
Yeah, I'm not like a giant Kyle MacLachlan fan or anything. I like the show. He's fine. I'm just excited that there's a Fallout show.
Oh, yeah.
I love Fallout so much. And, my expectations are tempered because I saw the Halo TV show. Did you see that?
Oh, don't get me started. Started.
I mean, it must not cost that much to make these TV shows because they put a little bit of CG in them. And then there's just a lot of people standing in rooms talking to each other. And it's fine. I'll take whatever I can get on the Fallout show. Just please do us a favor. Don't have any POV shooting. Don't try to recreate the VAT system in the show. Just keep it on the story. Don't make it too gamey. And but we'll be there for it.
But you see, that would be one of the most inexpensive shows to make. It's like a horror movie or Walking Dead. It's all destroyed and destructed props.
Yeah,
everything's dirty. You can just work out somewhere that's pretty much destroyed. The most costly shots would be like your wide establishing shots of a city or a street or something like that. The special effects for a nuke going off for the, intro to the first episode, things like that, that would be most costly. Hopefully they'll get like the makeup effects team from Walking Dead for doing ghouls. I think that'd be cool.
And I don't even know I know what the story is, but it's not like Fallout's big on characters the way The Last of Us is. That Last of Us TV show.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
I can't wait either. I mean, there's such a powerful story lurking under there, and I want to see it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, something really interesting is happening in the video game tooling universe right now. Unity just announced a massive round of layoffs. This comes 2 weeks after their CEO said that they weren't going to have any layoffs, and all of a sudden they did. And what's interesting here, that Simpsons Hit and Run game that you mentioned earlier was built in Unreal Engine 5, and apparently what's going on here is Unity has been the game development engine for a few years now. It makes it really easy to build games. Unreal Engine 5 comes out and apparently has just blown that out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
I actually spent a couple hours playing with it with my son a couple weekends ago. And, within an hour, we had built a little environment that you could move around in.
Cool.
So the Simpsons Hit and Run developer that was doing that remake built that in Unreal Engine 5. And it looks like a lot of the mental energy is going toward Unreal and pulling that away from Unity, which triggered this round of layoffs.
Man, that sucks with layoffs. I get it, probably with the recession and everything else. It's pretty horrible. But, let's get out of something sad and talk about what we're playing. You played Ninja Turtles?
I did. After we talked last time, I downloaded it on Switch and actually downloaded it on Xbox. And I haven't played a whole lot. Just I wanted to kind of get the feel for it and see what everybody was talking about.
Yeah.
Another game took up a lot of my time, which we'll talk about next. But it feels great. It's such a smooth beat 'em up. It's got such a big move set for those turtles. Yeah. It's got that vibe from the 80s TV show. Have you played it much?
Oh yeah, I've gone through it. I haven't beaten the storyline all the way through. I've been kind of taking my time. I'm trying to upgrade all the characters in the story mode just so that they're all kind of like leveled and they all have the special moves unlocked and everything else. I'm about to go into the Technodrome for the first time, so it's like level 12 or 13, something like that. But yeah, no, I'm still loving it. I'm taking my time with it, and then my kids like to play with it, play it with me, so it's all fun for everybody.
Yeah, I need to do some multiplayer sometime.
It is worth it because you could do this thing where you hit the left bumper and you do a high five, and it give you both of you health, which is really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently there's like a tag team attack where you can both sandwich an enemy. I haven't done that yet because I've got kids, and so it's harder to get the little kids. It's like, no, you need to come on, time it with me. They don't understand completely what you're trying to do, but it's all good.
Well, I didn't get to play it very much because last week you recommended that I check out Slay the Spire. And so I sat down on my back porch with my Switch and I was like, all right, let's see what this is about. Eric said that it was good. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It is a card battler, really. And oh man, I got into it and then discovered that there's a fast mode for it. Did you ever use that?
I haven't touched it. What is that like?
Fast mode? So the thing about the game is you're playing cards to make your character fight these enemies in a turn-based mode as they come on screen. But every time you play a card, you're waiting for this animation to happen. Well, you put on fast mode and it skips all that. It speeds it way up. So it really lets you focus on getting synergies between the cards and just makes the game flow really quickly. You go into settings, turn that on, and you just start flying through that game. Oh, gotcha. What a fantastic game. Oh, the quality, the animation quality. Man, you did me a solid recommending that game. I traveled this week, so I spent a fair amount of time on a plane and at a hotel. And that was my go-to.
Oh yeah, it's easy to find out that you enjoyed 30 minutes if you got a good run going. And then there's the different character classes, which it's like, oh, I want to try this, oh, I'll try that. You unlock different cards. It's hard to put down. It's got that addiction to it, the addiction synergy. It's
nice. Well, I want to hear about your Blade Runner game. I went and looked at it. It's really getting beat up in the reviews.
Oh, yeah.
And you had a lot of good things to say about it, so I'm interested to hear what your experience was like.
Yeah, I'm curious. I haven't looked into who's reviewing it because I would... Apparently there was a fan-made version on Steam that came out, and people enjoyed that. Then this version came out, and people weren't happy with it, which... just to be, I guess, as logic as possible here, it's a game from 97. It's not like they went back and this will probably go back into our bigger topic, but it's not a remake, it is a remaster. It is hard to remaster something that is lower than SD quality footage, or it's not, HD wasn't in existence yet. So what they did, I still think is great. And if it's got that nostalgia feel, it gets you the chance to play it on without having to figure out how to boot and double boot within a system on your Windows because, it can't play this old edition. of a DVD-ROM from Westwood Studios. So I have no complaints like everybody else.
Yeah,
it hurts my eyes a little, but I'm enjoying it for the nostalgia factor.
Why does it hurt your eyes? Because it's slow res?
It's so pixelated, yeah. It gets to a point, like there's certain games, it's like, oh, I love that game, and then it's, I don't know, as time changes, you go back and like, oh god, I can't actually play this anymore. It hurts my eyes.
Yeah, the stuff people were complaining about is things I don't know that I would notice. It was things about the frame rate, like it's a point and click adventure. I don't know what the frame rate, what it really matters.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It seemed a little nitpicky to me.
I think it's because it says it's 60. It was like 60 FPS might have been a selling point, which it does speed up some of the pre-rendered animations, but it's not supposed to be that smooth. People were lucky to get something at 20 FPS.
Yeah, I haven't played it, but I've seen some of the screenshots, and you're seeing scenes from the movies recreated in this digital point and click world, and that looks really cool.
Oh yeah, no, they did a good job. I mean, this was pinnacle at the time, and still kind of holds up. And it looks like the lower early animated shows like Reboot or Transformers Beast Wars when it comes to the cutscenes, and and I think that's part of the thing here is people don't realize or understand it is an old game. It has the ability to drink legally and have a discount on its driver's insurance. So car insurance.
Well, speaking of old games, did you ever play Magic the Gathering, the card game?
I stayed away from it because I knew I would spend every dollar I could make on getting new card decks. So I stayed away from it. I was very interested in playing it. I know the basics, but yeah, no, I just stayed away.
Yeah, a friend gave me a starter deck, 20 years ago, and I played a little bit. I love the mood of that game. It's kind of got this kind of dark fantasy kind of tone that I really like. So you got me playing Slay the Spire, and while I was listening to my gaming podcast last week, a guest on one of the shows was just raving about Magic the Gathering Arena. Mm-hmm. And he talked about getting up in the morning and playing the daily challenge, which is like the best part of his day. So I was like, well, I'm playing this card game. Let me go check out Magic the Gathering Arena. Did you ever play Hearthstone?
No, that's another game I probably would enjoy. If I like the card battle system that Slay the Spire has, and other games that are like that, where it's random cards like Loop Hero. Love that kind of thing.
Yeah. Let me just take you back in time a little bit to when Hearthstone came out, because Magic the Gathering had a video game version years ago before Hearthstone came out, and it was very slow paced, just like it would be if you were playing across the table. It's like they recreated the experience of playing across the table from someone. You play your card, the card moves from your hand onto the table. When Hearthstone came out, and you'll know this if you've played it, it's very dynamic. When you pick up a card, it animates, there's little sparkles flying everywhere. When you play that card, you throw it down. There's kind of a kinetic aspect to it. You throw it down on the table. When you attack the other character, the card animates up and pops in the character on the other side of the table, kind of recoils, and you hear this bang sound. And they got all this real tactile feel. And on an iPad, which is what I played on most, you're using your hand. It felt fantastic to play. They've recaptured a lot of that in Magic the Gathering Arena, and you can play it single player. Unlike Hearthstone, which you can play single player, it's just I think it's more geared to multiplayer. If you like Magic the Gathering, if you like Hearthstone, and you're looking for something to play, it's free to play. Of course, they'll want you to buy some things, but it's really neat. It's got all that Magic the Gathering dark fantasy feel to it. I will spend some more time with it when I'm done with Slay the Spire.
I picked up Super Mario Strikers for my Switch.
Yeah, tell me about this. I don't know much about this game.
It is more difficult than you would expect from a Nintendo game. I don't know if that standard changed, but there is a difficulty curve to it. And I'm playing it on easy. And I mean, I like sports games, and the fact that it's not a sports game. For instance, NFL Blitz. Love that. Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98. Loved it because you do exaggerated checks and tackles and hurt each other. Kind of like it became more aggressive. And I loved stuff like that. Even like on the Super Nintendo, it was like Super Baseball 2020 or 2099, something like that, where you had like You could actually throw a fireball and you had robots on your team. I like that kind of sports game. So with this, I was like, this is great. It's a Mario game and it's got super moves and soccer. You know, I want to do this. Well, the goalie on easy is a little bastard because they don't let anything pass them. Which, yeah, it's not like I want to play a game where I can, get a goal every time. But damn, they are tough to get a ball past them. And even with the other players, the AI kind of puts up a fight too, and it's really annoying because sometimes the game will grab the ball, run right over to your goal post, and kick it right in. And I'm just like, no. And it's annoying. So I mean, I'm happy there's a challenge, but I'm really annoyed that even on easy, it's hard to do. Like I'm playing with my kids, so it's 3 humans against 4 AI, and we're still losing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even though, it's like this is supposed to be a kids game, but really what I think happened is this game was actually created for esports more than leisure. But I'm enjoying it. I'm playing it. I'm enjoying it. So there's my take on it. Buyer beware.
I need to check it out sometime. Yeah. Back on the chill video games thread, I got pulled into a game called Outlanders on iOS. This is part of Apple's, what's their gaming library called?
Arcade.
Yeah, Apple Arcade. Yeah, I don't know what got me pulled into this. Actually, this is one of the games I played on a plane while listening to a podcast. I wanted something, I guess, even more chill than Slay the Spire, and Outlanders is a top-down city management game with these cute little characters that you say, hey, you go over here, chop trees, you go over here, build a house, and you have to manage them through these different objectives. It's just real slow-paced and chill, and then you give them commands and you watch them kind of run around and do things. It's a lot like the Settlers on PC, if you ever played that game.
Yeah.
But it's a portable version of that, which is really neat.
Cool.
Outlanders on iOS.
Not sponsored, but on this podcast.
So did you actually play KOTOR on Switch?
Yes, the first one. It was on sale, and it's one of those things that I've been like just waiting to pick up again because there is a remake of it coming out at some point. I'm excited for that because it needs a remake. It needs to be, it's almost 20 years old. It came out in 2003, so it needs a good, dash of makeup and up-resing because playing the original one, I'm enjoying it again. It's very nostalgic. Love it. It's from BioWare. It was like the first time I heard of BioWare before they made Mass Effect. So, and it's very RPG heavy. Love it, love it, love it. A lot of the textures do not look great when it comes to some of the alien races, and some of the costumes and outfits. So it's like, okay, it really could have used a little bit more TLC there. It's playing at 60 FPS, which is great because I played it like on an old HP laptop in like 2004.
Wow, they got to 60 FPS then.
Yeah, they got to 60 FPS, and it's great. I'm enjoying it still. What sells it so well, and here's the thing: story and voice acting. It's when you have those two combined together can make a POS just still live and last long, in my opinion, when it comes to a video game.
Is KOTOR, is it turn-based combat?
No, it's more like queue-based. So you have different stats and you have different, I guess it's not really classes. I mean, it kind of is. So you have like, here's someone who's a better sniper. Here's one that's really good with laser pistols.
Okay.
And then here's someone that's better with melee. So whether it's a lightsaber or vibro blades. And you kind of queue them up. You can pause in the middle of action and give different commands, but they can only do one command at a time. So as soon as they're done with the other command, you can queue up the next one so they can do something. And then it's all random number generation of, if the attack hits or not. So that's why I like it. It's very old school RPG, tabletop style, but it's Knights of the Old Republic, so we get Jedi.
There's so much Star Wars content out right now, but it's funny the cultural power of that franchise it's so potent that like any game, you put that music, you put the sound of a lightsaber in it, you've got a fan base.
Oh yeah, no, just
I loved.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes.
It's not my favorite game, but man, what a great game. And it captures all of that stuff. Make more of those, please.
Yeah, no, for when it comes to a lightsaber wielding, which is what we all want to do.
Oh, yeah.
Other than I've never played Vader Immortal, I would say Jedi Fallen Order is the best representation of lightsaber play. You have Force Unleashed, which was great, which is the God of War of Star Wars games. But then you have Jedi Fallen Order, and it felt like I was swinging that son of a bitch around and had some weight to it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what are we watching right now, Bob?
Well, this isn't really geeky, but my family has gotten really into MasterChef, and this is Gordon Ramsay's TV franchise, and it's not one show. There's MasterChef Junior. There's MasterChef where they bring back the adults that lost from previous competitions. He's got a new show called Next Level Kitchen, where there's 3 kitchens. There's like a really nice swanky kitchen at the top and then a really crappy kitchen at the bottom, and people compete to be in different kitchens. And if we can get my daughter to watch one of these shows with us, she's been really interested in it. Everybody sits down, we make some popcorn, and we watch the show, and then we get really hungry because we're watching people make just these incredible dishes. I like MasterChef because it's really positive. They really highlight people these are home cooks. They're not professionals in most cases, but they're really, really talented. And then when they screw up, it's kind of like coaching. It's like more in the spirit of helping them get better than it is. You know, some of the cooking shows are like, look how terrible this cake is this person made. And MasterChef's got this really positive vibe.
Yeah, it's not Hell's Kitchen where it's, oh, this is horrible. What are you? I'm a shit sandwich. No, that's good.
There's a little bit of that, but it's in the spirit of like, hey, how can we make this better?
Right.
What have you been watching?
Well, Stranger Things, the next part of the final part of season 4 just dropped. So I am taking the elephant and eating it bit by bit instead of consuming it whole and getting sick. So I just finished the first new episode, which is a whole hour and a half, which is amazing that they went that way. And then the last one for the season is 2.5 hours, which is ballsy for it being a TV show. It's like, that's a movie. That is Stranger Things, the movie. And I'm just enjoying it little by little. Otherwise, I'm kind of
a lot of good things about it.
And then I actually rewatched, because I guess it's been about a year or something. Rewatched Castlevania, the final season of that animated show, which is really
animated.
Good. It's for anything being from video game adaptation sense, that nailed it. That series nailed it.
I didn't see that one.
Sometimes it's slow paced, but it's beautiful. All right, so just for all intents and purposes, what is it? All intent,
intents and purposes,
intense purpose, or
it could be intensive purposes. But I think it's intense and purposes.
I'll be intensive about this because I will
be intensive.
Yeah, all right.
Be intense.
Because we're not a bunch of people in the circus intense. Remake versus remaster. Let's go ahead and define that. So a remake is, say, you take the original Mario Brothers and then you remake it 3D, new sounds, new game mechanics, things like that. Similar to what they did, I think it was they actually did that with on the DS. They call it like Super Mario DS. And so it's essentially the original Mario Brothers remade but updated with different. Well, actually, hold on. That actually kind of would be a remaster. So, okay, a remake. You take the concept, you spin it around, you see what sticks, and then you go with that. So it's kind of like inspired by versus a remaster is you take the original everything, retexture, replace the sounds if the sound quality was bad, redo the score, the music, voice acting, or get the original voice actors back in the booth and record them at a better, higher quality. Yeah. So that's a remaster, and then your remake is you're just remaking it from scratch in the spirit of. So Blue Point, for example,
same game, update the assets.
Yeah. Same game as remaster, update assets, remaking it. So Blue Point is a good little studio that's been really good at remastering and updating games. They did most notably, they've been bought by Sony at this point for maybe over 2 years now. they remade Bluepoint remastered Shadow of the Colossus, Demon's Souls, which was one of the launch titles on the PlayStation 5.
Yep, I played it.
They did the Metal Gear Solid HD collection, which came out a few years ago for like the 360 and the PlayStation 3 series. And then there's actually right now there's rumors of them doing the original Metal Gear Solid remastered, which would be delicious because I love the original PlayStation Metal Gear Solid, and it should get a remaster. So they've done it well. They know how to do it where it feels like the same game, but it's more tolerable on the palate because it's got the better graphics, it's got ray tracing, better soundtrack, and it doesn't, you don't lose the vibe of this. It's the same game, so you don't lose that feeling, which I think happens when it comes to remakes. And one of the more controversial ones coming out is Last of Us Part 1. Yeah. Now, you've read up on this one?
I have.
So I'm buying it because I love the franchise enough. It's shut up, take my money at this point for anything Last of Us. And from what I understand, it looks gorgeous. It looks like they took the engine from Last of Us Part 2 and redid everything, at least in the cutscenes. We haven't seen gameplay yet, but from the cutscenes to match it, which I think is perfect, honestly. Because then when you jump from that one to the second one, it's not like it doesn't feel like years changed between the technology. Yeah. It's a lot more seamless.
Isn't it going to be a $70 price
yes,
point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $70.
God, that's a lot of money.
And I'm paying extra to get the bonus stuff. Because it comes with like some perks to make the game easier, get some like a couple level ups and stuff. I will pay money for that because I have played this game so many times. I really don't want to play it again to get some of the perks, work hard to get all the perks, because that gets a little annoying when you played it that much. But I mean, I love it enough that I want to pay. I'll take my money. But the gameplay, I imagine, will have the same gameplay mechanics that Part 2 had, and those were amazing. The AI was astounding when it came to the humans, and the visceral attacks and everything else was just beautiful. And I would hope some sections might get ironed out, so it's not so, I don't know, long and drawn out, maybe.
Yeah. I have to say, maybe I'm the odd one out here. I don't get super excited about remakes or remasters, and I'll tell you why. And Last of Us is a great example. Last of Us 1 is a great game. Last of Us 2 was a phenomenal game from the storytelling standpoint, from the graphics, really from every standpoint. But the type of gamer that I am, I'm not as into story as you are. I'm more into the climb to OP, and I'm into the mechanics of gameplay. And Last of Us Part 2 had just great mechanics around moving Ellie around the world, doing takedowns, combat, the inventory management. You get all of these quality of life improvements with Part 2. And when I see a game that I loved a decade ago coming out again, I think, oh, neat. And then I think, yeah, but it doesn't have all these new quality of life things. I have to manage the inventory the way I did before. And they don't update things like that. They update the graphics and the voice actors and stuff like that. And I don't care about that as much as I guess a lot of gamers do. And so I don't do a lot of remakes for that reason. Like, I would much rather you reimagine an old property and bring it into the new world with new graphics and all of the nice stuff, than go back and play something that I've played before.
See, I'd rather have remasters than remakes. I guess that's part of the crux here is, remaster versus remake. What's better? I like a good remaster because if you don't have that console, you can't play that game.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most infuriating things, other than, say, Xbox, but PlayStation has really been bad about it. And there's still titles on Xbox you can't play, but it's like there's games that I would love to play, but you can't because you don't have that system. You can't play a PlayStation 2 game that I really love called Way of the Samurai. You have to find a copy of it and a PlayStation 2 to play it.
Yeah.
But you have...
Of course, then...
Go ahead.
Well, go ahead.
I don't even know what I was going to say.
Well, I was going to talk about Dark Souls because there's a game. Now I'm talking about the not sequel, but the game that came after Demon Souls.
Yeah.
Dark Souls. Now there's a game about mechanics that's not really big on story and a great climb to OP. That's my type of game. Dark Souls Remastered, one of my favorite games of all time, both because they upgraded the graphics and the frames per second and all that, but they also ported it to Switch.
Yeah.
So then I could play Dark Souls while I traveled. For me, that was a perfect remaster. Demon Souls is beautiful. I never played the original, so I don't really know what I'm appreciating. But it looks great on PlayStation 5. It's the very first game that I played on PlayStation 5.
Yeah, same here. Like, I never got a chance to play Demon Souls because X, Y, and Z. I forget why I never got it on the PlayStation 3 when it came out. I was excited. It looked cool. But I was so happy I got to play on the PlayStation 5 and I loved it. It was amazing, and it's hard to like. I would go back and watch Let's Plays of people playing the original one. It's like, oh, this hurts my eyes now,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. It's about putting love back into a game and enjoying it again. You don't have to remaster every game, but you remaster those classics, so you can play them again, and it's a little bit more it's easier on the eyes.
We'll have this debate when the Dead Space remake comes out and Callisto Protocol comes out, because that's going to be, I think I'm going to fall on the give me Callisto Protocol, give me like Dead Space in spirit, but with everything reimagined,
right?
Versus take a game that was great a decade ago and give me a modern version of it. I'm more on the Callisto Protocol side, but we'll see.
But see, and I would love a remaster of Dead Space, and I'm excited about Callisto Protocol because that's the same head team that worked on Dead Space. Since if you ever played the third one, it kind of fell off the wayside, and then the property's been just dead in the water, unfortunately. So I'm excited about Callisto Protocol. It looks amazing. It looks like it's got the feel of Dead Space, but better. So it's been, and that's the thing we always want. We want it to feel the same, but different, which is always hard to get. And I feel like what I see so far, Callisto Protocol is nailing it. Well, I'm watching the developer videos on this Dead Space remake, and I'm just like, okay, I can't tell what's going on. You guys are trying to convince me so hard that you're doing is good.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. You can see this stuff, but I don't want to see that. I want to see the gameplay.
Yeah.
Because if the game itself doesn't feel like Dead Space, then I'm going to be upset, because I love the original Dead Space. There were parts of it that I wish were smoothed out or cut down because it was, kind of a drudge or something like that. But it's a classic. And you can retexture it, make it 4K, 60 FPS, fine. That's all you need to do. Make it more visceral, fine. Like for instance, Resident Evil 2 got a remake, which is phenomenal. I loved it. I love the original PlayStation, even though I played the Nintendo 64 Resident Evil 2, but I loved that game. And then the remake came out and I was like, holy shit, made it more visceral, made it more horrifying, and it was perfect in my opinion.
Yeah, that's right up your alley, isn't it? Horror game like that. Yeah,
and then comes out Resident Evil 4, which has been ported just as many times as Skyrim, I swear to God. Resident Evil 4 was on GameCube, which it revolutionized that whole idea of over-the-shoulder, action-oriented survival horror. And you could thank Resident Evil 4 to make the way for Dead Space, because Resident Evil 4 came, about a year before it did. Or maybe 2 years. I forget. I think it's about 2 years. But you had that game, and it's been ported in HD, remastered, all that. So it's like, why do we need a remake of that?
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, to shorten the story, maybe. I'm going to pick it up and play it, but it's kind of like, of all the games to consider remaking, I think that should have been pushed down further. Code Veronica is one of the better remakes because it was a great story with Claire, and that was a Resident Evil story, and it got pushed to the side as not canon with the main storyline, which is bullshit in my opinion. It was delightful. I loved it, and I recommend it for anyone who wants to do survival horror games.
Man, I've never played a Resident Evil game, and I hear so many good things about it, but there's so much to play out there, and I like new games, Eric. I want new games.
Well, are you much into horror? Playing horror? I mean, you like watching
really
horror
good.
movies, but can you play a horror game? That's two different things, everybody. If you haven't
But remember
that
the type of gamer that I am, like I want that climb. I'm into the mechanics. That's why Dead Space, I didn't finish Dead Space, but like it had this whole dismemberment mechanic, you know, like I'd probably be into that. The Resident Evil games I don't even know what their mechanic is. From what I've seen, it looks more story driven.
Yeah. With what they did to the update for the remakes that come out, not Resident Evil 8, but like Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake, they made more body physics with like the zombies, so you can aim at the knee, shoot them in the knee, and they'll fall down, and you can actually blow off their knee. And there's more like I guess body action damage, where you shoot them in that part of the body that'll show that you shot them in that part of the body. You could actually see some ribs or some intestines will spill out. It's like realistic stuff like that I like to see in my horror video games. But compared to the original ones, which you couldn't aim precisely, it was like aim in the direction and shoot, and you just hope that you hit them. So that's that makes sense.
I was just thinking about horror games that I've really liked, and it made me think about Days Gone, which is a game. Do you ever play Days Gone?
Nope.
It's an open world zombie game, but a guy rides around on a motorcycle and kind of goes from place to place. The mechanic in that game is these giant hordes of zombies that you can fight. They didn't remake that game. I didn't get very far in it because the game was really buggy at release, but a year later, people were raving about how great the game was now that it had been patched. I keep meaning to go back to it. Probably what's going to happen is they're going to remake it or remaster it or something, upgrade it to PlayStation 5, upgrade the graphics engine or something, and then I'll go back and play it. Now, that is the kind of remake I'd like to see. Something I never finished, and then by the time it comes around, I get to experience it for the first time. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, no, I was excited about it, then I kind of stayed away from it, because from what I saw in the gameplay, it felt like it was trying too hard. And it just did, you can watch something and get like that sense like, I don't know if I'll enjoy that, or, oh man, I got to try that. It didn't click with me. And
the motorcycle mechanic. This was back when Walking Dead was the big thing. You had what's his name, Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl
rode around on the motorcycle. It's the main character rides around a motorcycle, and you can upgrade your motorcycle and maintain your motorcycle. That's really neat. This feeling of like you're this lone wolf out there, fighting zombies. It was almost like a Daryl simulator. It was neat. It's a really cool game, but again, it's open world, and it was right up my alley.
Yeah, maybe that's what they need to do is just call it Daryl and then change out the body simulator. And you change out a couple of lines and you got yourself a better game.
Isn't that what was that Hideo Kojima game that
Death Stranding
was in? Death Stranding, yeah. Death Stranding was a Daryl simulator.
That was good. It was like future Daryl.
Yeah. Literally a Daryl simulator.
Just to throw it out there, the Final Fantasy VII remakes, I enjoyed the first one. Pissed I spent $70 to find out that I still have to wait for a couple other ones to come out before the whole story's done. I'm just done with it at this point. Square Enix has kind of lost a lot of my respect and love of the Final Fantasy properties because I don't know what they're doing with it anymore. I'm a big Final Fantasy VI, which was Final Fantasy 3 on the Super Nintendo. Final Fantasy 7 originally was great. I liked 6 more. I loved 8. I loved 9 probably the most. 10 was enjoyable. Was great for the time. Skipped 11 because it was online. 12 was fun, but could have been better. Then 13 was just it. And I've watched my girlfriend play 16, and I loved watching that, and I could have gotten to that, but just, they need to get back to it. So hopefully, instead of this stupid remake, the next Final Fantasy game will be better.
I have never played a Final Fantasy game.
You would think you would, because you'd like to go OP.
But
it's very story driven. So.
It's too much story. I remember the very first Final Fantasy on Nintendo.
Oh yeah,
it's turn-based strategy. That kind of game.
Yeah.
Maybe, but the pace is too slow. I don't know. It's gotten so heavy on story and animation stuff. There's just so many good things out there to play. Yeah,
and now it's kind of more real time. It's a weird combination. it's still trying to figure out what it wants to do. But yeah, so, whatever you guys think out there, if you got comments, let us know what you think about remakes and remasters and what you might be playing. I think that's all the energy I can give about talking about remakes and remasters. I'm just, I as I said, I think I'm just rather have remasters than remakes.
And I'd rather have new games.
Yeah. Well, you got anything you recommend?
Yeah, there's a game. I haven't played it. Hard Space Shipbreaker is now on Game Pass for PC.
Yeah.
And I've known about this game for a while. Have you heard of it? You know what it's about?
Yeah, I've listened to a review and read some reviews. It's a big title.
Yeah, so you're like you're kind of a mechanic or something. I haven't played it yet, but you work for this corporation out there in space, moving around in 3 dimensions, breaking down ships. So you got a laser cutter and you've got a tether, and you have to break them down and move them onto the different parts to recycle them, and you get paid for each part. People are really speaking very highly of it, and this is my kind of game. Not real heavy on story, heavy on mechanics, and it's super chill, so you can sit and play it while you're listening to something. So I'm going to check it out this week. I'll report back next week.
All right, you do
got
that.
Anything?
Not really. I haven't looked to see what's coming out this week. There's one game that comes out later this month I'm eager to play called Madison. It's a good first-person horror game, and I think that's later this month. Otherwise, right now, I'm going to probably keep playing KOTOR on my Switch and jump between that and the Slay the Spire, plus the games I'm recording on my channel, which has been God of War, the story of God of War 2018, and then my asshat edition of The Quarry, which has been really fun.
Just about to say that keeps popping up in my YouTube feed, and I need to watch it. I love the little googly eyes you put on that character.
Yep.
But yeah, I want to see how the asshat playthrough works out for you.
It's interesting to see how much of an asshat you can be to everybody, and you can pretty much keep everyone alive. I've kind of found out,
even being an asshat.
Yeah, so I was getting to the point where, like, all right, I'm going to try to strategize the way people die through it to get some really good deaths that we didn't see before. That way I can make a nice little death compilation video at some point. But yeah, no, I've been enjoying that.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it while I play Captain of Industry, which I'm going right back to as soon as we're done.
Awesome.
See how my colony's doing.
Yeah, hopefully nothing's crashed while we've been doing this.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to Pause Button. Like, subscribe, follow us on the Apple App Store and on YouTube.
And we'll see you next week.